Hey, Telomic here with DNB Academy, and today I just want to have a quick look at vocal processing. So I've got the instrumental from my track Turn Back with Flowanastasia, which is out on Liquicity, and I've got the lead vocal dry stem just down here. So I'll play just a bit of the drop and we'll kind of focus on how we can get that vocal really sitting with the rest of the tune. Cool. So you get an idea of the vibe of the tune, kind of deep rolling liquid, and then we've got that vocal over the top. If I just solo that very quickly, Anastasia did a great job on this one, as did her engineer Tier. Does a brilliant job of like comping and recording everything. So whenever it gets to me, it's of a brilliant quality. One of the things you want to make sure of when you're working with any kind of vocal is that the quality of the vocal at source is really good. It's so much harder to like fix a bad vocal than it is to just start working from something that's great to start with.
And I don't know if I'll ever even make it.
It's also worth mentioning that I believe Tears also added a bit of compression onto their end before it's got to me. That's fine. I tend to ask that there's not too much processing going on, but a little bit is fine. So yeah, let's have a quick look at how we're gonna get this all to sit well. So the first thing I quite like doing is loading up Soundtoys effects rack and just putting radiator on the vocal. If we
if
I really drive it there, you can kind of hear it kicking in. And basically add some like preamp distortion to the vocal. Gives it a bit of grit, especially when we're like compressing and stuff later on. I quite like stuff that doesn't sound too clean. I went for a while with my own productions, making sure everything was really, really tight and really clean. And now I'm kind of stepping away from that a little bit. One thing I'm going to do is just switch the project to 174 just so that we're all in tempo. And we might need to tweak this a bit later on once we've done a bit of compression. But for now, that will do. That's fine. I'm just going to throw an EQ on and just roll off any lows that might be. Might be hanging around down there before we do any compression. The reason I roll off the lows before the compression but after the distortion is that if you have got any low end stuff going on, if I do it after the compression, the low end noise and bumps will be triggering the compressor, which isn't what we want. We just want the vocal tone to be influencing it. But with the distortion, any of that might add a little bit of crunch and a bit of drive to the vocal because it's increasing the level before it's hitting the distortion. So it's partly a tasting, but I always do any subtractive EQs pre-compression, and anything a little bit more creative I'll do after. So I use RVox because it's really simple.
Don't know if I'll ever even make it.
Tend to aim for about 6 dB of reduction.
Don't know.
I'm just going to go in here and tone down some of that. Oh. Mix.
Don't know if I'll ever even make it.
Yeah, sounding a bit better. And we'll add a little bit more EQ.
Don't know.
And just tone down some of these highs a bit.
Don't.
So if you hold Alt when you scroll on a point, you'll create a dynamic EQ. And what that will do is react to the levels. So
don't know if I'll ever even make it.
And it just helps tone those highs a bit.
Don't know if I'll.
And I will also add a slight bump.
Don't know if I'll ever.
To give a bit more beef in those low mids. Just because it sounds like the vocal at the moment is very top heavy. And so by adding that little bump, we can kind of bring up some of the reinforcement in the low fundamental on her voice. Which is just these lower notes here, basically.
Don't know if I'll ever.
Some of that, but not as much as that, obviously.
Don't know if I'll ever even make it.
One of the things I say with vocal is that people often panic that they don't know how to process vocal and things like that. It's actually really, really simple. As you'll see here, I've not got a huge amount left that I want to do to this.
Don't know if I'll ever.
A little bit of delay. I tend to use dotted rhythms just so that it adds a bit more interest to the vocal. Filter it. So what this will do is all the delayed signal will be filtered. So if I show you what it's like without that. Because the vocals, the delayed vocal and the original vocal are both full spectrum vocals, they clash a bit, whereas if I do it sits much better in the mix.
So close, yet it feels so far away. So close, yet it feels so far away.
Nice. And then finally, we'll do a little bit of reverb at the end of the chain. The decay on the reverb is always going to depend on the tune.
So close, yet it feels so far away. And I don't know if I'll ever even make it.
And one other little tip that you can do if you've got a slightly top heavy vocal as well is using soothe. So what that will do is find all the resonances in the vocal and bring them down. You can actually, if I solo it and hit delta, you can hear everything that's picking up. I tend to dial the mix right down though.
So close, yet it feels so far away.
Get a bit more reverb in there. One thing to note as well is in this tune originally there's a lot of harmonies and extra vocals and layers and ad-libs and stuff. So they'll also help create interest in the vocal. If you're getting someone to record a vocal for you, it's always important to make sure that you almost get too much. Get a bunch of ad-libs, get loads of harmonies, loads of takes, everything like that, so that when you're going to work on it, you don't sit there and think, I need this. You've got everything you need. And if you don't use something, fine, doesn't matter. If you go to use something and you don't have it, then you've then got to go back to the studio and all the rest of it. So
close, yet it feels so far away.
And we can also do some creative tricks like automating the delay on these later notes to fill the gaps a bit better. Also double up the vocal if you don't want to automate it, and just cut out the bits that you want to delay. So that part for instance, and then just have 100% dry wet on that one.
Close, yet it feels so far away.
Can even do a slightly slower delay on that one.
So far away. And I don't know if I'll ever even make it. But if I don't have faith in myself, how will anybody?
But yeah, there you go. Sorry, I'm just sort of messing around now. So if we do a quick A-B. This was before. And this is afterwards.
So close, yet it feels so far away.
And you can hear that not only is the level obviously much better with all the compression, but we've kind of tamed that top end a bit of reverb. The whole thing feels like it's now part of our tune, rather than it just being a weird recording that's sitting over the top. So hopefully that makes sense and helps. Any questions, let us know down below, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey, I'm Telomic. I've been producing for just over 10 years, and welcome to my DNB Academy Masterclass. Throughout the course of my career, I've managed over 30 million Spotify streams. I've performed across Europe and the UK. By the end of this course, you guys should be able to make music in the kind of atmospheric liquid style that I've been doing for many years. Just over 5 hours, I'll be going through everything I use to build up my own liquid ambient tunes. So that's everything from music theory to drum design, drum layering, bass design, arrangement, mixing and mastering. And I can't wait to see you guys on the course.